on. Josh Courage is a business owner. He is a huge part of the VFriends community, which, if you guys don't know about VFriends, it is a community or an IP ran by Gary Vee. And Josh was actually, when I did a podcast episode about the opportunity in VFriends right when Chrome dropped. And Josh was actually the first channel I went in on, and he was the one that kind of got me introduced to VFriends and got me kind of hooked on it. And in his streams was really good at explaining what was going on and helped me get a lot of conviction to where I am now super bought in. So, Josh, welcome. I'm super happy to have you
That's
on
awesome,
the
man.
podcast.
I love hearing those. I appreciate being here. I apologize for this taking so long to happen, but it was
It
destined.
happened.
It's going to
It
happen no matter
was.
what. So we're here, and I like it.
Yeah, yeah. So, Josh, obviously, Harmony of Hustle is built, to really document business owners like grind and journey and how kind of we operate and the different avenues of business that we do. So, I know you run your own business, and obviously, we can see in the background all the bison stuff in in the VFriends stuff in the background. Can you just kind of give everybody like a background on like what you do, and then how you even got into VFriends, and then let's just kind of like start hashing out and talking VFriends stuff, dude.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, well, the VFriend stuff, the Courage Show, which is the sort of the VFriend show that I host and the platform that I utilize within the VFriends community is actually my secondary business. I've run a personal
Mm,
training business. I've actually owned two gyms. I owned a gym in Washington D.C. I sold it. I owned a gym in California. I was in the process of actually selling that, still managing it, but selling ownership of it. And then COVID
yeah,
hit, and I actually ended up selling out all the equipment and everything like that, retaining
yeah,
all the members, which actually was a better option than selling it. And I still do personal training. That's my full time job. I'm still 20 plus hours a week,
nice.
usually doing coaching, mostly online. I actually just came back from the gym, and I'm actually going to start coaching and running seminars at the gym I was just at.
Oh, nice.
And then the VFriend stuff for the live streaming show was something I sort of like happened into. And this is actually a kind of a cool story. I touch on sort of how I got into VFriends quite often in my show, which I'll talk about here. But one aspect of it that I don't talk about a lot that I just realized is this mindset. This mindset. I remember going to the very first VCon. This is like so right VFriends. And some people
Hmm.
who watch the show probably don't know VFriends or know of it, but and some know a lot about it. But right when the VFriends NFT dropped, the big
Mm,
thing was that there was going to be 3 years of this big conference, and it was
yep.
less of like a VFriends conference, more of like a entrepreneur type conference. Lots of speakers and business people and stuff like that. That was networking, kind of big on
Yep.
the Web3 NFT side of things, crypto side of things. I remember going to the very first one. I'm not a big like huge public, tons and tons of people type of guy. I'm always sort of off on the outskirts and very
Yeah.
introverted. I remember sort of watching people speak, and I've spoken before. I really like actually being on stage and talking and saying, how do people get into how do like influencers become influencers? How do people like start something and like gain a platform? Like it's I
Hmm.
don't understand. I don't understand that step by step process of sort of becoming a thing. In my brain I was like, I want to speak at VCon. Like that would be
Yeah.
super cool.
Nice.
I've spoken at colleges, I've spoken at high schools, I've spoken for business, but I want to speak at VCon. That'd be so cool. How the
Hmm.
freaking hell do I do that? And after VCon, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna sort of get into doing some VFriend stuff. That's kind of fun. And I would just sort of interact with people. And back in the day, that was Jeremy Knows, who now works for VFriends. I remember interacting with him a lot back in the day. Then, like a few months later, they dropped their cards. And I was
Oh,
like,
the Series One cards.
the series, no, oh, I guess it was like right after that was a series. Maybe, no, it was actually before that the Series 1 cards hit. It was a few months,
Mm,
I think it was May was VCon 1. And I think July, the Series 2 cards dropped.
nice. That's when I
Which
first found out about
Okay, so that's like
it.
now they're called TCG cards because it's a trading
TCG.
card game. And I was
Yep.
like, "Ooh, I know I can do cards. Like I know cards." I was able to. I
Yeah.
was lucky enough to get into the VF2 NFTs. I got like 6 boxes of those, and I started like making videos and posting them on Twitter about like how to package your cards, how to ship your cards, how
Mm,
to protect your cards, all this other stuff. Because there were tons of people in the VFriends community who knew nothing about this stuff.
right.
And I was a collector when I was a kid. Nothing crazy. I never sold anything. So I was just like, yeah, this is kind of fun. And then I was like, you know what? I want to do mystery packs because
Mm,
I really liked watching this guy Jabs Family Breaks or something like that on YouTube,
hmm.
and he would do breaks and he would sell mystery packs, he would get mystery packs. Like, this is really fun. I would just watch him while I was doing work,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm gonna do some mystery packs. And I was talking to my buddy who was in the VFriend stuff, who I'm actually texting right before I started the show. or started this
nice.
podcast. And he was like, dude, I don't know, mystery packs, that might not work. So I was like, I'm going to do it. I made 25 mystery packs and sold them out in like 3 days. Because there's nobody
Oh,
else.
wow.
There was nobody else like selling stuff besides like private, private little deals here and there, and eBay with the cards. This is like September, a couple months into these cards.
Oh, wow.
I was like, this is really fun. I want to do like a break show. And I forget exactly what the date was, but it must have been maybe like 5-6 months after the cards were introduced. I did my first live stream. I did it on an iPad, on Twitch. I had no clue.
Oh, wow. So this is before Whatnot was even a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
I didn't even know Whatnot was a thing. I mean, Whatnot existed, but I didn't know what it was. And I didn't even like use an OBS thing. I was just like directly through
on
Twitch, which was like just a mess.
Yeah, I bet.
But nobody else was doing this stuff. And then like maybe like 4 or 5, episodes in, Tom or Teager of To the Moon Cards now, who's like the other sort of OG streamer guy, he started doing some stuff. It was just me and him.
Oh, wow.
And it just sort of, because nobody else was doing it, it just sort of organically happened. And my show was the VeeFriends community night. That's what my show was. It wasn't about cards. It wasn't about selling cards. It was about being like, hey, Justin, why don't you come on my show? We'll talk about you, like a live podcast, and then let's open a box of cards and let's have some fun.
Right.
And that's what it was. I probably did 50 episodes where some
Nice.
person in the VeeFriends community would come on. We'd rip the cards, we'd open them, maybe we'd play a little game with them, just have some fun talking. I had Andy Kranak on, I had Adam Rips on, I had a bunch of people with the VeeFriends community, just community members on. And then it just sort of kept organically growing. And then me and Tom sort of grew this little bit of a fake conflict with each other. That was like, the Furry Show and Teacher's Collector Corner, and that sort of built.
Yeah.
That generated more excitement and energy around it. And then I remember I did a big stream at VCon 2, and then but it just kept. And then the cards hit big after VCon 2. And it was like the cardboard summer, as Gary coined it. And it was like, oh, now the cards are kind of blowing up. And VCon 3, I was on stage talking at VCon. And I vividly remember sitting in they had a little tent set up. I was actually on stage twice. I spoke with IJ Rob, who's also a part of the To the Moon crew, and this girl, Christina, who runs Mama Breaks, which is a big time breaker.
Right.
The three of us shared the stage, and then me, Tom, and Rip shared the stage. So I was actually the only person besides Gary to be on stage twice at VCon.
Oh, nice.
So I remember sitting there being like, "Oh, that's how you do it." Right?
Yeah.
My original question was like, "How do you do this?" And I looked back 2 years, and I was like, "That's how you do it. You just do. You just do." And if you're like into it and passionate about it and having fun with it, and just not getting super ultra focused on it has to be this way. Just be like, oh, hey, try this. Oh, hey, try that. Things just can grow, and if they don't grow, you're just like, yeah, let's try this. It wasn't, while I was doing it, it wasn't about speaking at VCon.
Right.
While I was doing it, it was about just like, how do I keep doing this, and how do I evolve and grow? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just, maybe I get this new computer, this new microphone, this new just try.
Yep. No, and that's kind of, that has like a big echo in just general business. I mean, I've been posting a lot about it, how we made I was very outcome oriented when I started my company. And that was because prior to this, when I was a sales guy and I was helping grow other people's companies, that's kind of what you focus on. Like, all right, how many sales can I get? What's like the revenue we can generate? And we were able to blow the companies up pretty quickly. And so when I did it for my company, that's what I was focused on. And I was like, I got to hit 1 million the first year, then 2, whatever, these arbitrary goals. And it's same thing for like brand building. It's like, okay, I want to get X number of followers. I want to have this type of influence. But it's funny when like you try to be outcome oriented, you almost get further away from the goal because you almost try to shortcut things and do things that detract from what will actually get you to where you want to go. Yeah. And the moment I got input oriented and just looked at like, well, if I was like, I know if I advertise to this number of people, I will get 3 sales. Okay, so if I just triple the amount of people I can advertise to, I'll quadruple sales. Like that type of mindset really changed my business and like helped me like get to a smaller team. And I think for like what you did, like the brand building again on VCon, it's like, okay, well, how can I just show up and provide value every single day to people? And eventually things will kind of compound and cascade. And if it's good, it's good. If it's not, it's not. But if I just focus on what do I actually care about, then things will work out. And like for me, for example, I tried different things on Whatnot because I fell in love with it. Because as a sales guy, I was like, back when Chrome was really hot, I was like, whoa, I just made like $2,000 in an hour.
Yeah.
And I was chatting with people in the VFriends community who are probably the best community I've met, who are like just generally good people. So I was like, this is a lot of fun. And then I tried what you did. I was like, well, let me try a break. I see a lot of people doing breaks, and I hated it. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, this freaking sucks. So I was like, all right, I like singles. I like running, I like ripping packs, and then I like running singles. Like, so found my niche, and it kind of grew. And what was kind of a cool moment, I don't know if you remember this, but during the hype when I was getting my collection going, I was like always in your show every night that you're on, and obviously some of the other guys' streams. And then obviously my shows were super low, right? I think I was averaging maybe 10 views a show.
Right.
But just stayed consistent, showed up, and then one day Gary rated. And then that kind of was like a stair stepper. Like just out of nowhere, he went in there. And I was like, "Oh, that's pretty crazy." And then I just kept showing up, and then eventually I got connected with AM Sports, who was like the big singles guy.
Yep.
And then he helped me kind of, learn, and he started supporting because he saw that I was hustling without really asking for help. And then you started supporting. And then one day, I mean, just out of nowhere, I think I had like 100 people in, and then you showed up and were like, bro, what's going on here? And, that kind of community building just comes from time and effort and just being consistent with it.
Yeah.
And, then that led to getting on the Ask Gary V show, where he then connected me with some of his personal people in his circle. And I think what's cool about the VFriends community, especially, is I think it's smaller than most communities right now, but I think it's a great example that whatever goals people are trying to achieve, the community they actually want to be a part of is smaller than they think.
Yeah.
And winners actually recognize winners. And if you just do stuff consistently without losing enthusiasm when things get hard, and just keep showing up and keep working, eventually, and you may not be like the top success, but you'll probably get closer to that end goal than you will by just stopping and trying to make these arbitrary outcomes happen. And, by, posting as much value as I can on social and doing the shows, I mean, now I was able to get a relationship with you and Jeremy and all the VFriends guys and a little bit with Gary. So it really is just taking the you out of it as much as you can and say, okay, well, what can I do to benefit the community?
Yeah.
And what do I do? What do I actually enjoy that also gives value? I think that's like the marriage of anything. Like, what do I actually enjoy doing? And then what can actually bring value? Because I think that's where we get a little messed up. We see shows doing these mystery packs or
I gotta
breaks,
switch my hat to talk about that. We gotta switch the hat.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
That dude, I think that's probably the hardest thing in today's entrepreneurial landscape is the balance of trying to go viral, trying to sort of hit that wave, while also staying true to what you're passionate about, true to yourself, and being a genuine, authentic person. And I see it like right now, I've never sort of utilized social media. I'm in the process sort of trying to use social media to build my fitness brand, Living with Courage. It was performance. Now I expanded to Living with Courage, using social media, and like it's a grind. And I realized, like, sort of looking into it more and more and more, like there's two ways to go about doing this. Number one is to sort of sell out. I always use the example of Liver King, right? The Liver King, that crazy jacked out dude who was like, just live by these 9 ancestral tenets, and you'll look just like me. I'm gonna spend $15,000 on steroids every day.
Right.
So, like,
and lie about the steroids.
yeah,
Like,
yep. And
natty.
and he had a business plan of, I want to get, whatever, 3 million followers in 12 months. So he had this very specific goal, and he was going to get there by any means necessary. Right? That's one way to do it, and you can do it. And that can be effective, or you'll end up being like him, and now he's like gone absolutely bananas. I don't even know what's happening. And you see that time and time again when it comes to like celebrity or music or whatever it is. People are like, I'm going to get there any way possible, and I'm going to sell my soul, and it's going to F me up for the rest of my life. Or you're just good with what you're doing. Right? I so believe in the message I'm putting out there when it comes to health and fitness, that, like, yes, of course I want a bigger following. Yes, I want to get monetized on all these platforms, and that's my end goal with that aspect of my business.
Yeah.
But like, and of course it's a little bit frustrating when I put forth a good amount of effort and there's not a ton of return. But in the end,
Of course.
the big picture, the macro view is I don't care that much, because I just want to put this freaking message out there, and I'm never going to compromise that, because I'm so freaking passionate about it. So you're right. Like, love what you're doing. And if you don't love what you're doing, like, you still could luck out. It still could work.
Yeah.
But like, just to me, that's the message I always want to put out there with my with my content, with my clients, with my show, is just
Hmm.
be connected to what you're doing. And you can actually see it in my relationship to like putting out VFriend stuff. Like I've moved a good amount away from VFriend stuff and do more and more health and fitness stuff because, like you said, like I'm not a salesperson at heart.
Hmm.
I'm a coach. I'm a coach at heart.
Mm.
And when I'm shifting towards, hey, I want you to buy this. I want you to jump into my brakes. I want you to buy my cards. I want you to, I'm not, I don't feel good. I feel
Mm.
fine, but I don't feel
Yeah.
freaking good. And when I'm coaching, when I'm motivating, when I'm putting
Mm.
the message out there of like, hey, I want you to try to like just get out there and go for a walk, or hey, why don't you try one push up today, or hey, let's do this little challenge, or jump
Hmm.
in with this, dude. I feel fucking good,
On fire.
right?
That's
That's
so.
that's
That's
the
so.
shit. That's where it's at.
That's so key because like that's where like we got to optimize for like who you are, and it sucks because like what I found is there's this like influencer trap where like someone will watch Gary or you watch like an Alex Hermosi or you watch um I mean that's the only people I watch, so who else a
Well,
Joe
they're good
Rogan
guys, but
or a Chris Williamson, right? And you see this content and you're or Mr. Beast and you're like, okay, I have to be like that and like the same things they like to get to where they're at, and that's just not true. Like you are this is repeated all the time, but you are the niche and you just have to double down on what you like. Like I love selling. So for me, it's like how do I optimize having a good time selling and make it fun for the viewers?
totally.
Because that gets me I fucking love it. Like that's why my company has skyrocketed because I got rid of all my sales guys and created a whole new sales process where I'm the front end sales. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's and for you it's like coaching. It's like, well then how do I do the same thing but coaching? And it's what's crazy is if you just put in an ungodly amount of effort into both,
Yeah.
then you will get to where you want to go.
Yep.
And I do think why people go crazy like the Liver King or when people try to chase that fame is the top of the mountain fallacy, right? You think when you get to the top of the mountain, then you're always going to be at the top of the mountain. But everybody only cares about themselves. And the more I make content and I analyze my content, I realize the best content that I get returns on are not when I'm talking about things that I've done or whatever. It's when I actually provide some sort of practical advice to help people like move their own lives. Because everyone's just really only cares about themselves, right? And you follow and like the influencer you follow because at some level they actually give you something of value that you're able to implement in your life that either gives you money or gives you status or makes you feel good. But even those people will not be on the top of the mountain. Like they'll have cycles. Like I know for me, at one point in my life, Gary was like the guy I was watching all the time. And then I got all the value I needed from his content and I stopped watching him for like a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then I started watching Hermosi. And it's like, and for our own audiences, like people are gonna cycle through your content for when like they need it. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why people get depressed. Like the Liver King, he had his rise, and of course it was all bullshit anyway. So obviously if you build it off, if you build the house on a box of cards where the phrase is, obviously it'll tumble, right?
Right. Right.
But I think what happens is like he had his big, he was Mr. Beast calls it the purple elephant, right? So you make purple elephant content, you see a purple elephant, you'll stop to look at the purple elephant. Obviously, the longer you can be a purple elephant, the more you'll probably grow. Liver King was obviously physically this just weird, crazy out there guy, and his message was kind of out there, and people were like really gravitating towards it. But then it kind of became like a norm, and then things kind of leveled off. And when that levels off, that's where people lose it. So it's like, what are you optimizing for? Do you want to make a ton of money quickly? Then great, do that.
Right.
Or do you want to build like a long-term brand? And if you want to build a long-term brand, then eventually it'll probably like level out.
Yeah.
Unless you're making educational content or sorry, entertainment content, because entertainment content like Mr. Beast, that's always going to be kind of new and progressive. But if
Right.
you're doing like coaching content or like niche stuff like sales and business or VFriends, that's going to plateau in my mind because you're not going to be attracting
Yeah.
everyone's interest.
Yeah, I made a post the other day because I couldn't think of a way to do it from a positive light, which was the image of
Yeah.
the Joker from the Dark Knight Returns, whichever one it was, Heath Ledger's Joker, and
Yeah.
where at the end he like slides down a big pile of money and he burns it, and he said
Mm,
it's not about the money, it's about sending a
right.
message, right? Like to me,
Right.
I'm like, yeah, like to me in the end, my end goal is sending a message. That's my end goal. I
Hmm.
like if I make $1 billion, freaking if I make $1 million, freaking great. If I make $40,
Hmm.
freaking great. Yeah, I want to send, for me, right? Me, Josh Courage,
Hmm.
I want to send a message. I have a message to speak for the rest of my life. And that's
Mm,
the number one aspect. And the second I forget that that's number one, I become
right.
inauthentic. I become disingenuous, right? I'm shifting who I am and what I want to put out there. And I think that in the end, that's the what I think personally is the best way to put stuff out there. Like that's
Yeah.
the content I consume. The second I see someone who's I can see through their fakeness and like they're not being genuine. I don't like this. They're not
Yeah.
they don't believe in the message they're putting out there, right? They're putting it out there because they think that message is what people want to hear, but
Hmm.
they deeply down inside don't actually believe it. That's to me, that's where I land with stuff, and
Yeah.
it all boils back to one of my favorite characters in VFriends is self awareness, is just knowing
Mm,
what you want. Right? You say you feel good selling, fucking great.
yep.
Hermosi is a sales guy, or Gary is a freaking sales guy, like through and
Hmm.
through. Like you can see it when he talks. If he's like if when he's selling, when he's hyping and trying to sell stuff, he is at
He's
the
in it.
peak of his aura. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
and for me, when I'm like putting out health and when I'm like trying to get someone to get up and just go for a fucking walk, dude, something happens in me that just shifts into everything I want to be. Right. So
Yeah.
like that's self-awareness and just knowing what that is. And I think I was just thinking this morning how I feel like given the nature of just of what we're focusing on as a society, right? As Gary's book, The Day Trading Attention, we're focusing on attention, and when you shift away
Hmm.
from you know focusing on who you are to focusing on purely attention, people start to slip away from self-awareness and they start to focus on getting
Sure.
attention at all costs, and we're seeing that more and more and
Hmm.
more and more and more. And especially like in my world, the fitness industry, it's like just rife with just charlatans and fake people and
Oh
buying
yeah.
and fear mongering and all sorts of stuff, and it just drives me crazy. So like the best thing I can do is just be as loud as possible with my message because it's about the fucking message. That's all
Yeah.
I care about. So, but that's the thing. Self awareness. I just think a lot of people lack self awareness. They don't really truly know what they want. Right? Like
Hmm.
you talk about the fallacy of the whatever mountain. Like from my perspective, there is no top. That the top doesn't
Yeah.
exist. Like everybody's talks about. Well, I want to get to the top. Like
The
that
mean, the mean girls. The limit. What is it? The limit does not exist.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't because the second you get to where you thought you wanted to be 6 months ago, you see another peak you want to get to in 6 months, and that'll happen
Yeah.
for eternity, right? So, like
Yeah.
as everyone always says, it's about the journey. It's about celebrating those little wins. Like, hey, I got to speak at VCon. Yay! All right, what's
Hmm.
next?
Right.
Like, oh, I sold $10,000 worth on whatnot. Yay! Okay, what's next? Oh, I just secured
Hmm.
3 new clients. Yay! What's next? Like that's what it's all about. There is no
Yeah.
top. There is no peak. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah, and hedonic adoption is such a real thing. And this is gonna sound like super privileged, but obviously I didn't ever come from money. But the most money I ever made was when I got recruited or headhunted, I should say, to help build a solar startup. And at my peak income, I was probably bringing back 50, 60K a month. So I was on pace that year to probably bring back like half a mil. It didn't work out because the company ended up just getting imploded. But I remember at a certain point, I remember like there was like two moments where I had like my first 30K month and I was able to pay off all my debt. And like that was like a huge like emotional shift. Like, wow, I feel super rich and wealthy. But then when I started making more than that, like it didn't, and this sounds crazy to say, but it really didn't change my perspective. Like my well-being or my daily well-being did not change whatsoever. And I was like, naturally I'm like a really optimistic, like positive guy anyway. So like I felt like really happy that like when that started happening, I was like, okay, I feel good. But like when that happened to me and I realized, oh, this was like a record month, but like I didn't get any like emotional jolt from that. I was like, oh, that's what these people are talking about. Or like you've heard Gary say he knows billionaires and millionaires who are like super unhappy.
Yeah.
And that is such a wild thing to say until you actually learn the skills, which is why I love the skilled skeleton so much to make that type of money. And I remember when that was happening, I was like, oh shit, like and at that point it really dawned on me like I really did not like the industry I was in. I was like I kind of hit like all my needs were met, and so now it was just like okay, I had money coming in, and I just was able to take a step back and was like, I don't like what I'm doing. And then I started getting really, really down in the dumps. And then that's when I was like, okay, I want to start my own company and shift to bigger and better and go from making money to making no money. But like I think if you can understand that, I think number one, I mean, I will say this, I do think everybody should learn a skill first to
Yeah,
get to that point in life. Like, I don't like the advice of like, oh, and I know this is probably a little counter to what Gary says, but like, you should be happy earning 30, 40K a year, doing what you love, talking about Star Wars. That's cool if you don't have any other responsibilities where you can live off that. And I
right.
guess, and yes, you can like lower your what's it called? Your daily living. You can obviously lower that stuff. But I like to be a realist, and to be honest, I think most people should learn how to make at least 100K a year, because at that point, or even a bit more, because at that point, most people's daily expenses are going to be covered, and then you can actually then optimize for what do I want to do with my life. So that's why I am so passionate about people learning skills. And for anyone listening to this podcast, if you're, especially if you're under the age of 30 and you're like, there's nothing that I think I'm good at, if there's one skill that everyone should learn, I truly believe they should learn sales, because everything in life is a sale. And that industry, no matter what one you want to go with, can, without any degree, if you can just like learn it, you can make life-changing money.
Yep.
And it's something anyone can get into. So like for me, I'm more of like, well, if you can sacrifice 5 years to get financially secure to the point to where maybe you hate what you do for 5 years, but then that gives you the opportunity to live on 30 to 40K a year doing your passion. To me, that seems like a better trade-off, because then I feel like you can actually put all your effort into your passion and then actually grow that passion, compared to like, okay, well, I'm just gonna struggle all the time being a starving artist. And honestly, I'm sorry, like, you could love music and be a star. And I say this because I wanted to get big in music at one point in my life. I don't think I was that good enough to do it, but that's still a passion I have. I now know if I sell my company and I make, 3, $4 million in the next 10 years or whatever, well, I could now do music full time and not be stressed out. And if my music never takes off, who cares? I can just do what I love for the love of doing it. And if you're doing what you love, trying to make 30, 40K a year, the reality is you're going to be stressed out. And you probably will start hating that thing that you're supposed to be loving, making that money. So, um, maybe a contrarian belief to kind of what's out there, but that's kind of my view. And I feel like people should optimize for that first. Like, get financially secure, so that way you actually can focus on your
Yeah,
passions,
I don't disagree with you at all. I think my big thing with young people, I work with like mid to late teens and kids going into college and stuff like that. We always talk about sort of life post high school, going into college, and what that means going moving on from college.
Hmm.
And my advice is to find your passion first off. You
Hmm.
have to know what it is. So I agree with you that people should get security, understand security, right? Like get a skill, whether it be, I like sales too, because what I was going to say, add to what your comment on sales is, sales, there's a spectrum. Like, there's
Yeah.
so many different things you can sell.
Hmm.
Whenever I say, oh, sales, people think of a salesman, like a
Yeah.
used car salesman or door-to-door salesman. There's like, my cousin is a group ticket sales for a minor league hockey team. That
Right.
stuff is like sort of pre-exists. All he has to do is just schmooze with people and golf with people and hang out with
Hmm.
people and just make sure that they're feeling good. And he's wildly successful because he's so good at that, just sort of small talk interacting. He's not cold calling people saying, hey, buy my product. That's another type of sales. It's
Right.
just a mass, like, in a weird way, as a personal trainer running my own business, I was a sales guy. I was trying to sell people on my training, right? Like, I
Hmm.
had to do it. And
You
weirdly,
have to.
I found my niche in that was to not sell. I was like, listen, I'm really, really good at what I do. You can train with me or you cannot. I don't really like, I'm not going to hold a gun to your head to say train with me. And that,
Hmm.
everybody trained with me, because I
Hmm.
wasn't some cocky, arrogant, like, you got to train with me. You got to do this. By the way,
Sure.
that other person sucked, blah, blah, blah. I was just like, I'm super confident in what I do. Like, if you want to do it, great. We're going to be super effective.
How,
But that was sales, right?
how do
Like,
you how do you feel about that? Let's say, because here's the thing, you say like, you need to find your passion, but that's kind of an amorphous thing for someone, especially when you're young, right? Like, I mean, I went to the
right.
Navy out of high school, so it's like, okay, how do you find your passion? And my question to you, do you think that if you just get good at something, you become passionate about it?
Possibly, possibly, yeah. You could become super passionate as a plumber. Totally. Like,
Right.
I'm incredibly passionate in my job, which is my one of my first ever jobs. I mean, I played baseball, professional
Mm,
baseball, and within that, I was like, what should I do as a living? I just liked the gym, and I realized I was very good at interacting with people in the gym. I was like, I want to do that. I was super, super lucky that I sort
yeah.
of fell into something that I am very, very passionate about. When I say, like, yes, you can become super passionate in the job that you sort of pick, and the skill that you're Like, this fits with me to a certain extent. I'm going to follow my dad's footsteps, or this teacher
Hmm.
was really inspiring. I'm going to start doing that, and that becomes your passion. Sure. At the same time, I think hobbies. I think hobbies are
Mm.
really important, right? You're not working 24 hours a day. You're not working, most likely, you're not working 18 hours a day every single day. Every
Hmm.
single person has some time to scroll on the internet, to watch some TV, to go to the gym, to go to a bar. They're going to interact with other stuff in some way, shape, or form, and they're going to be interested in other stuff in some way,
Hmm.
shape, or form. And the second you're like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Like I watched that person like stenciling. That looked really fun. I'm gonna try
Hmm.
that. So you just try and you're like, oh shit, this is really, and you just trial and error over the course of your 16, 17, 18, 20, 25, 30, 35, 50, whatever you're doing, you're just like, oh, that would be interesting. I'm gonna try that. Oh, that'd be kind of cool. I'm gonna try that. And maybe something clicks, maybe it doesn't. Like that
So
process of just sort of just trying things out, I think creates
yeah.
ideas as long as you're aware of what you're doing, right? Like,
So if you had a kid come to you, because I think this is something that people struggle with these days, and I think you hit the nail on the head of everyone's trying to chase what can make the most money,
mhm,
and they try to chase the trend. So if you had a young kid, or anyone at any age, I guess, and they come to you and they say, "Hey, Josh, I just don't know what I'm passionate about. The things I enjoy is just watching Netflix with my family, but I know I want more, but I don't know what to do. I don't
yeah.
know what passions I have, whatever." What would your advice be to them then, for
Well, what
someone
do
like
you
that?
what do you what do you like watching? What are your do you guys have like a favorite type of show?
Yeah, okay. Let's say it's Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders, cool. What about Peaky Blinders? Is it like the suspense of it? Is it the historical progression aspect of it? Is the crime aspect of it? Is that there's the family aspect of it? Like, what about that show is super attractive to you? What sucks you in and draws you in? Is
I
the
don't know,
film? Is
Josh.
it
It's
is it the
just it's so fun.
cinematography? Right?
I
It's
don't
so
know.
fun.
Just it's such an entertaining show. I like the
That's fair.
the the drama. It's cool. I like it's takes place in historical times, but
Yeah,
acting's great.
that is true. And then what else? Like outside of watching shows, what do you do? Like, do you work out? Do you go to the gym? What do you
No,
guys
I
like to do?
don't. I stay home all day.
Stay
I
home
go
all
to
day.
I go to work. I come home, hang out with my family,
Well,
watch
here,
TV.
okay, so then here would be my challenge. I challenge you. So if you come home, you go to work, you're there all day. You come home, you watch 3 hours of TV. I'm going to challenge you to like, why don't you cut back? If you watch 2, 3 episodes of the show, why don't we cut back and do 1 or 2 episodes? And that extra hour you pick up, I want you to try something. Try drawing. Try playing the guitar. Try cooking something. Try painting. Try knitting. Try crocheting. Try singing. Try looking at trading cards, and I'll work with you over a course of some time to try to sort of, hey, why don't we look at this? Why don't we look at that? And the more you try, the more you get out there and just give it a try, even if it's just for 1 hour. I guarantee you, over time, something's going to sort of click and be like, that's kind of interesting. But I want
Yeah.
we're super aware of like your level of attention when you're doing it, because you might like sit down to take a guitar and be like, I just have no like there's nothing that's interesting whatsoever.
Do
Or
you,
but then you
so,
sit down at the keyboard and you're like, oh, this is interesting, right? That curiosity, that little click spark of curiosity could lead to something. So let's engage with that a little bit more.
do you think people should try to optimize their hobbies if they have those passions, or do you think they should just leave them as hobbies?
I think that I think that it's an option to go down, right? Like if you're unhappy with what you're doing and you
Hmm.
have 3 or 4 hobbies that you enjoy, why not try to optimize them? Why not try to monetize it? Why not?
Yeah.
Like because in the end, it might not be something that's changing it into something. Like in all honesty, once I shifted doing the Courage Show into a business, it completely changed my relationship with the enjoyment of being on a stream, talking to people,
Right.
interacting with people, right? So it might not be, it might not, it might ruin your hobby. It might, but that's what
It
life is
might.
all about: just trial and error and seeing what happens, seeing what works, right? And we go
Yeah.
we go through so many different things. Like in a billion years, if you asked me 20 years ago, would I be sitting in my basement, freaking live streaming to 5 to 100 people selling cars? I'd be like, fuck no.
No.
But then here we are. So like,
I
I
think.
I
Yeah.
I think life. I think a good life is a life where you're constantly just trying new things, while not ignoring the things that are actually working for you right now.
No, I
Right.
love
So
that.
I agree with you in the sense of like find that skill, get that steady income, get a job. Don't be a waste of space. Be a productive human being. But then also utilize your other time to like mess around and see what else is out there. Right. So
No,
like
I love that.
to me, that person who spends all day working and then comes home and plops in front of Peaky Blinders is the average is majority of people, and they're miserable, they're
Hmm.
depressed, they're angry, they don't have
Hmm.
great relationships. Like that's way too common, And I
Yeah.
think if we can just step away from that and be like, dude, well, get out there and try something. Go walk in the woods. What if you become like a passionate outdoorsman? Like,
Yeah.
who knows? Like,
Yeah, no, I agree. I think fear is the biggest thing, man. I think fear and insecurity is what stops most people, and I think it's always this mindset of it's for them, not me, which is insane.
I have a question for you because Gary's
Yeah,
talking about this too, and I have a question for you as an entrepreneur and myself here.
yeah,
Is are we so Gary V has this is he's doing his little kick. He's doing his pre 2026 kick of like, here's what's going to trend in 2026, and everybody get on
sure.
that shit, or else you're gonna be left behind and you're gonna die. Anyway, one of those things is unplugging.
Hmm.
He thinks that there's going to be a huge wave of unplugging. I fundamentally disagree.
Hmm.
And I'm curious where he's coming from this because I interact with a younger generation and I talk to them all the time, and I do not see even remotely a trend of this sort of stuff. And I'm curious about with you. We're talking about all this like finding passion and hobbies, and
Hmm.
you talked about a person who goes to work, comes home, and plops in front of the TV. And I feel
Hmm.
like we're moving very rapidly towards a more magnetic version of disconnecting from the real world and just getting sucked into our virtual world of just entertainment and fun, and we can do
Yeah,
so. This might be cynical, this might be pessimistic, but
yeah,
I see a trend moving towards we go to work, maybe even, and we're maybe even disconnected from work because we're so distracted by the ease of entertainment, and then post that we just get sucked right into it might be these new forms of consuming entertainment,
yeah.
to
No,
VR and all this other stuff. And I'm curious what
yeah.
people who are excited about entrepreneurship and stuff like that and feel.
Yeah, I mean, I think, with AI, I don't think we've quite realized how disruptive that's going to be. I love it for the fact it's helped me do a lot of things in my business that I would usually have to outsource or hire a lot for. But I do think if we take it to its natural extreme, like if we go all the way to Ready Player One, I think at that point, it'll get so artificial that people will start to then, want what they don't have in a way,
Hmm.
if that makes sense. So it's like Alex Hormozy talks about this a lot, that you're the most motivated by what you don't have right there. So if you have a billionaire and all his friends are trillionaires, you're going to feel super poor compared to them, even though you have $1 billion, right? And I think the same thing is going to be for right now. I think a lot of us or a lot of people right now lack connection. And I think a part of that is, I think that's what I've heard from like, some of the younger generations or whatever. And I think that is in part due to the way social media has been monetized for attention. So like you have these young kids now making a ton of money on like OnlyFans or being these like young creators and doing like just living in a digital world. And so it's sucking them into that digital realm. And I think what's going to end up happening is I don't know. This could not happen. I mean, it could just continue to go on that path, like you were saying. But I do think there will be a portion of people who will be like, dude, I am so tired of this. I need to get off. And I mean, I know for me personally, I love it whenever I can actually like take a vacation and I don't have to be on my phone or social media. It's like a detox. Like I physically feel so much better because I think for the average human being, I don't think there will be much of a change. I think if you are someone who you don't want more for your life. You just want to show up every single day and you're okay just watching, you want to go to work and then you want to be entertained. That kind of vicious cycle of just, you're going to let the average world just kill you because, you just don't want to get out of your situation. It's good enough, right?
Do you think that's
Um,
do you think that's a large percentage of people, or do you think that's a
that's most people. I think most people are okay. I think most people are okay being okay.
yeah?
I think once people are like, yeah, I'm doing all right. I can take one vacation a year. I have a roof over my head. I have some food. I have a decent TV. I got my pleasurable things. For most people, I think that's good, and I think that's why most people suffer because, if you're super poor or you're like in a lot of pain to where like you have to make money to live, you're gonna work really hard to get there. But when people get comfortable and they have enough to live, there's not for most individuals there's not like this nagging motivation to do it. There's not a lot of disparity. Like for me internally, I have a lot of probably a lot of internal insecurity and need to prove myself and I want to achieve like a one of one life. So just being average and okay just isn't acceptable for me.
Yeah.
And so I feel uncomfortable spending my time doing these things when I know I could be optimizing for to do more work because that's enjoyable to me. Like I just want to have this one life and I want it to be memorable for me, and I want to do things that no one else has the opportunities to do, and I want to just get these memories and these things together. And so for someone like me, I think what Gary talks about, that unplug, is more realistic because like I'm so in this all the time. Whereas if you're just entertained, then if an AI entertainment thing comes around, you're just going to be swapping the TV for the AI.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think in that realm, I don't think that's going to matter. Now, what is interesting is he talks a lot about there's going to be people that will just pay to give you hugs and walk you around. I think that is more so a sadder undercurrent of studies we've seen of young men not dating, right? There's that huge uptick of young men aren't going out there. And there's a lot of arguments as to why that's happening. But if that continues, then you're going to get a big portion of adults who aren't socially adept, who don't have physical connection. And so the same way they pay these girls on OnlyFans for connection, they're going to pay people to actually physically come out and see them. So I think that might be why you'll see that trend. I don't know, like my personal beliefs are I think every human being should aspire for more. I think there's too much fear of like how you're going to live your life. Like we do only have one life, but at the end of the day, like it is going to end. And if things don't go well, who gives a shit? Like no one's going to remember you anyway. And you might as well just take a shot at it and just see what happens, right? And for me, like and I think the best way to get over the fears of the unknown is just to get into positions and get adjacent to what you want to do to learn it. So like I don't have an entrepreneurial bug. Like that was not my trust me. I went to the Navy for a reason. Like I was like, I want security. Right? So I had never my dream was not to own a business one day. But when I my actual goal was once I found sales, which was a complete accident, and I saw the money I could make there, I was like, okay, I just want to be like a sales manager or a sales director, just stay in sales because I knew it so well intuitively. And then I obviously studied and worked really hard to learn more from like third party like guys who were way ahead of me. But then when I went to help grow that solar company, the owner was pretty absent and I was the number two guy. So I basically got on his dollar, got paid to kind of learn how to run a company.
Yeah.
And when I saw that start to grow, that gave me confidence of like, okay, I can probably do this myself. Now, I will tell you, the moment you make the leap to start your own business, holy shit, is that a hard thing to do? The hardest thing I've ever done. But like the reason why I love the gym so much is, you know, doing hard things are actually what makes you happy. And that is kind of like where people get it fucked up is everyone wants to optimize for comfort, but comfort actually makes you sad. You like doing hard things like when you get, and that's what the military taught me. And that's why, again, if you have no direction, I'm a very big proponent. Go join the military for 4 years because those are the hardest years because you're a grunt. You're not going to have, like, you got to do the hardest jobs, work the longest hours. But you actually develop a lot of self respect for yourself, which I didn't have as a young kid. You know, I went in at 18 to really find that. And you learn through hard things what you're actually capable of. And then that builds self respect and then that builds confidence. Because if you look at what confidence is, it's a history of past performance that you can rely on. It's knowing you've done things in the past so you can do things in the future. That's all confidence is, right? The first time you jump out of a plane, you're not very confident that's going to work out very well. But if you do 1,000 jumps, you're pretty confident it's going to be okay. You know, I know because I've done a bajillion sales calls that if I get on a call, there's a 50-50 chance I'm closing somebody. But that's because I've done a bajillion sales calls, right? So I think, you know, for anybody, it's like you gotta run to hard stuff. And I think that's the problem now. I think, you know, everyone talks about how bad the world is, but I think the world has gotten so easy that everyone just thinks it's bad because they have nothing else. They have no actual bad things to bitch about, you know, like this will be a little controversial and it's not to say anything, but it's like the fact that we have, and this is actually like a good thing, like the fact that we actually have a group of people that can create arguments about gender right now shows you how good we really do have it. Because I can tell you right now, if shit was really popping off, like World War II, like famine, depression, things were really going bad, that would not be a topic that would have any conversation. But the fact that this is something that can actually be a hot topic just goes to show you that like we got it pretty good.
Yeah.
You know,
when life is not about survival anymore, we're going to find anything whatsoever to sort of to create conflict, to create difficulty because humans need it. We
We
literally
do.
we need conflict.
Yeah.
So when you walk around and realize that people are just inventing conflict just for the sake of it, because it's just because there's nothing else. We're not trying to fight for our lives.
No.
Like there definitely are people struggling in this country, but not to the extent like people who are less fortunate financially are still using iPhones and can still
Yeah.
access decent food if you know
Oh,
what you're doing. Like
dude,
there- yeah,
I've gone to some of the poorest places in the world in the military. Like I have gone to India, I have gone to the middle, like very poor parts of the Middle East.
yeah.
Or and the Middle East is a great example. And now a lot of
People,
people look at the
people are
Middle
doing
East.
fine. People are doing just fine here.
Yeah, it is insane. Like the some of the like now there are people who are not doing good here.
Sure.
I will, of course, but like
We're speaking in generalities, of course.
yeah, generalities and like per capita, like the audacity that people in the United States have to bitch about their situation, it's like you are in the prime optimal way to actually succeed.
Yeah.
And I don't like that you in America can really achieve whatever you want to achieve, and at the bare minimum, you can achieve middle class status by just showing the fuck up to work.
The, the,
Like,
the difficulty is comparison, right? Where there's
yeah,
massive disparity, and
sure,
we market success as a big house and fancy car and lots of money and
sure,
all that other stuff. So unfortunately, if you're living, in a tiny, one bedroom place with four people and you're cramped and you're struggling to get food, that's viewed as bad. That's viewed as horrible and negative and all this other stuff. But
hmm,
the fact of the matter is, that's perfectly livable. I mean, dude, I lived for a year. I lived in a couch in the back of my gym because,
right,
in the grand scheme of things, to me, that made the most sense
hmm,
given my lifestyle, what I wanted out of life. Like, and I was scraping together food because I was putting everything into trying to build something. So like for me, my lifestyle, and I was perfectly happy. Like I wasn't like, oh man, I wish I had a Ferrari. I wish I had a 5,000
right,
square foot. I didn't fucking care. Like I was having fun. Like it was
yeah.
just fine. So it's a matter of perspective. Like
And I don't think there's anything wrong with comparing. To be fair, like that's what keeps me motivated.
but,
Like I
but
want,
I mean that in the terms of like people who are play victim, who are or
yeah.
victim.
Oh, right,
That's what I mean
sure,
by it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. No, I don't think you should. It's and trust me, there's times where I've wanted to play victim on things that happen in my life. I think everyone has stuff that happens to them. It's just whenever you do that, you just take power away from anything that you can do, and instead, like you can feel bad about your situation, but like it's your problem to figure out. And I think the moment you understand that and you say, okay, well, what steps can I take to figure that out? Once you do, you're gonna feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
It's the reason why like I hate the body positivity movement because I was a super skinny kid and then I got really fit, then I got really fat, then I got fit again. And it took intent and hard work. And to me, that is what I just value in general. And it's like I feel like the whole body positivity movement got turned this into like, oh, it's okay to put your health on the line. Like I'm not saying everyone has to be like jacked, but it's
Yeah.
like you're making it like you're creating this like perception that that you should be rewarded for doing absolutely nothing. And it's like
Yeah.
and it's like these people that are like really 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 fit, like you have to actually be and it takes work, like consistent hard work.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's what most people value. And especially with the comparisons, like the people that I admire the most, ironically enough, don't flash big houses and big cars. They flash what they do. Like Gary Vee, Alex Hormozy, like those are probably my two biggest like influency idols, I'd say. And their whole message, like, we are about the work. Like the work is the goal.
Yeah, I have an issue. I have an issue with phrases or ideas that get hijacked into some sort of weird skewed message. Like
Yeah.
early on in the fitness industry, the body positivity was about not being was about not getting into a depressed state,
Mm,
but not being complacent. Right?
right.
So being happy with you as a person and what your body is capable of doing, but not
Yeah.
being complacent if you're unhealthy, if you're overweight. Let's
Yeah.
work let's work to become a healthier version of you while also acknowledging and praising what you're capable of.
Yeah.
That got
That's a good.
hijacked. That got hijacked into no, 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 no,
Mm,
no, no. Stay morbidly obese because you're
right.
beautiful.
Right.
Even with your type 1 diabetes, even with your blood clots, like you're beautiful. And
Right.
that's ludicrous. Like I
Yeah.
agree with you in that sense that like it got hijacked early on in the fitness industry. I loved body positivity because
Right.
it was about like, yeah, don't be like I hate myself. That's a horrible approach.
Right.
right? But
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want
exactly.
better. I want better for me and my family and those around me. I want to be there. I want to be able to do the things I want to do. And my body is capable of so much. My body is beautiful because it's
Hmm.
capable of so much. I want to maintain that and sustain that for life. So I'm going to take my body seriously. That was body positivity.
And that seems like such a logical, like I don't think anyone would refute that. I don't
Right,
think
right.
like, and like, and to be fair, like no one, if you are morbidly obese, I want to be very clear, like no one should treat you terribly,
Oh, sure. Yeah.
like no one should, like that does not deserve like you being ridiculed. Like no one should be like that. There's no place for that either, right?
Yeah.
Like, calling your names, going after you and stuff like that. You should not be doing that.
Dude, I've
But at the
worked
same
with,
time,
yeah, I've worked with so many people who are very, very overweight that just the, like, it's hard, man.
yeah,
It's like, no matter what they say, they're struggling immensely. Even the people who are like, I'm so happy and proud. No, like I've been around hundreds. They're
dude.
struggling immensely. So like that what it is it's a natural sort of extreme response to the negativity they receive, which
Hmm.
is to be like, no, I'm great,
Yeah.
right? Like, and it's that like I'm putting on that mask to block that extreme negativity. So like we just
Which
need to
is like,
get rid of
yeah,
those.
you probably are a great person,
A
but
wonderful, yeah,
it's like for your own like life. Like
yeah,
it's not even like for the aesthetics. It's like for your life.
yeah.
Like, come on. All right, I want to switch a little bit. I want to talk VFriends, and especially specifically because of this new spectacular series that's coming out. I'm actually super stoked about this product. Um, but one thing I want to touch on, I think it's be very helpful for the community as a whole, because they've seen what happened with Chrome. They've seen normal market conditions take effect. I kind of want to talk about for people that are going to start getting into the hobby more. I know obviously V Friends is a newer IP. It's not as refined as like the NFL and MLB and this stuff. I think there is immense opportunity here for people, but I also think there's immense risk for people who get overzealous to where they could lose big.
So
The same way
we're
with
talking
NFTs.
purely we're talking purely on like an investment, like buying.
On a side, yes, on a not a collectible
Got it.
side, not like, hey, I just want to collect. I'm talking like, okay, I want to do this as an income or a side hustle. I want to make money,
Yeah.
and I'll kind of show what I've seen, and I want you to chime in because you've seen a bigger, kind of rotation on this because you've been around a lot longer. But I think, and this is gonna be my strategy going forward. I think for anyone that is going to be getting in during the new spec series, is buy up as much product as you can for cheap, hopefully get EQL, and then rip it and ship it. That and as quick as you can. Because what I've seen, and at least especially with Chrome, is there tends to be this hyper buying cycle where collectors and everyone just wants to buy, 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 buy. So you're gonna get inflated pricing.
Yep.
So that's like a peak. Then you're gonna have, and then it's gonna drop off, have probably a little other peak, and then drop, and then fall off a cliff when people's money stops going, and then kind of even back out and level,
Yep.
right? And then I think there's two strategies, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I think that's strategy number one. And then strategy number two is maybe do some of that, sell, or acquire, buy, do shows, and then keep rare cards, grade, but then hold with the intent of a 5-year hold, because then that will appreciate over time. And I don't know, and I wonder if that's kind of a thought process you've thought about, because with my Chrome stuff, obviously, if you've been paying attention to Chrome prices, they've completely fallen off the cliff, and they're just not moving. So for me, it's like, oh, okay, maybe it makes more sense to hold, like, grade these cards and let them appreciate over time. Because I mean, you see what a Series One box used to go for, or still probably will. You know, once Chrome 2 comes out, I'm sure a Series 1 box, those spots will probably be 850, 950 a spot, you know?
Well, I think that was like a little like apples to oranges comparison because like Chrome right had a 3 million total card release while Series
Hmm.
One had a 10,000. Like,
Right.
so that immediate rarity, and it has that lore of the first ever card, right? Like,
Right.
so there's a lot of nuance within this world. Like I personally think that, like, and again, everything I say is non-financial advice. Like, I could be wrong, but I think you're
Yeah.
spot on with the assessment of like, we see a release, we see a spike, we see people want to jump in, we see hype and FOMO, we see people collecting their sets, their rainbows, whatever they want to do, and we see that happen. People want to do it first. They want to do it as fast as possible. They don't have the patience or anything like that.
Hmm.
Right, like, I'll keep my comments to myself on that one. But like from a seller standpoint, it's wonderful, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then very quickly, usually within maybe 6 weeks max, but probably honestly a little bit less, it starts to go down rapidly,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's how quickly people get the stuff they want to get,
Mm-hmm.
right? So yeah, if you want to, if you're someone who's buying and selling within the VFriends market, my very strong advice is get as much as you can afford to get and plan to sell it very, very, very quick.
Mm-hmm.
I think that long-term holds on the majority of VFriends products that are currently coming out, it's not going to appreciate that much. Like in all honesty, I mean, just
Mm-hmm.
looking at any other IP on the face of the planet, like VFriends,
Sure.
some VFriends cards sell for just ludicrous, like a Gary V auto, a Michael Rubin auto, like selling
Mm-hmm.
for 15, 20, 25, 50 grand is just
Mm-hmm.
ludicrous.
Yeah.
That's just people buy what they want to buy. Does that
Mm-hmm.
mean Chrome cards are going to just 30, 40, Chrome first year are going to be astronomical 20 years from now? Absolutely not. I don't think so at
Mm-hmm.
all. I think the Black Cats will be big. And I
Mm-hmm.
think we'll have some characters when they hit big, like, oh, the intuitive iguana just like hit for some
Mm.
random reason 5 years down the road, comic books and a TV show and all this other stuff, and we'll see a blip, but we're not going to see a $1 card become $50,000. We're going to see a
No.
$1 card become $5. Like that's
Yeah.
so
But
so.
what about low numbers? Because you look at like, let's just take like an NFL, like a Panini NFL or any of these like other Tops products, right? You know, you get like you get an out of five. Let's say you get like a good character. So let's say with VFriends, you have your top 15 characters, right? So let's say we compare that to an NFL. Let's say we get I don't know, let's say you get like a Patrick Mahomes rookie or a Tom Brady rookie, right? And
Yep,
it's an of five.
yep.
Um, that of five obviously I feel like has the most value. So I want like, how do you feel about like, let's say you have a top 15 character in Chrome, and you have of 25 and below, graded high. You don't think that'll appreciate over
I
time?
would put it at of 10, of 5, or 1 of 1. I think the second you get past an of 10,
Mm,
it's not going to be. I mean, you can already see that with Chrome. Like we're seeing of 25s and of
mm,
20s being like, oh, those really aren't that crazy expensive. Like a decent, like I have an of 25 Common Sense cow that I can't even sell for $100 right now. And it's of 25. But if I had an of 5 one, I could probably sell it for
mhm.
400, $500. Right? Like,
But do you not think that part of that again is because we saw so much buying activity in Chrome, like even way longer than I thought it would go,
yeah.
that people are just like their wallets are just a little spent. And again, they have their collections. Because here's my assessment. I wonder how you feel about this. I think, from what I've seen, I think the VFriends community is still smaller than we really think. It's obviously gotten a little bit more traction.
Tiny.
uh, Tiny. So I think there's a couple big whales in the space that buy up a lot. And then I think there's the collectors that want their PCs, and once they get their PCs, they're done.
Hmm.
And I think that's what makes it difficult to liquidate. But if we if this goes where I think it could go, especially with the fact that the Tops thing happened, the entrepreneur insert was really clever to me. I think there's gonna be more with that. The Steph Curry stuff is really interesting to me. Um, if I go out 10 years from now, if this continues the way it's been going and it gets more widespread market attraction to where the people that are buying Disney and Marvel cards start buying VFriends cards, right? Like these Mickey Mouse cards are going crazy right now, right? I don't know if you saw the Mickey Mouse autos and stuff that are going insane. If Gary can really pull that off, and it's a big if again, right? Big asterisk if, and then we get mass market where it's not just the core VFriends crew that are buying and selling, and you get the mom and pops where like they want to make it like a Pokemon or whatever. Do you not then think that could potentially switch? Because if you look at some of these like certain rare Pokemon cards from Chrome One, whatever, or like the old school, like even like the Mew high graded from the commercial release, that obviously sells for a ton.
So
So,
yeah, if VFriends could grow to become something as mainstream as what they always say, Pokemon meets Sesame Street, as mainstream as either of those brands, then sure. The real question is, could it be that big? And I guess that's the ultimate
that's the
question. I
question.
mean, like personally, I think there's a lot of limitations that
Mm,
with how it's been developed.
mm,
Um, and just looking at the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years of IP development within the space of whatever VFriends is. I mean, VFriends has shifted their goalposts of what they want to be 4 times in the past 2 years. I mean,
mm,
this was meant to be a kids brand. This was marketed
right.
as a kids brand. and they came out with a kids book. And I remember talking to people in VeeFriends about kids books. The TV show, this is going to be big. The TV show, we just partnered with the company that makes Cocomelon. Don't even get me started on Cocomelon. Then, kids, and we're going to do kids comics, and we're going to do kids, and then it shifted. Now it's TCG. There's going to be a big time TCG. I think about those huge tournaments. And I remember at the very, very first official TCG tournament, Adam Rips was talking about the future of the game and how it's going to be evolved and Series 3 cards, and the game is going to grow. And I would have these long conversations with people, with him and with Gary and with Jeremy about the next evolution of the game. And they're like, "Ooh, we can't wait." That disappeared. Then it became about the stories and these coming comics, but then it shifted again into selling. And then the comics started, and then it shifted again. Now it has nothing to do with kids, right? I don't know if you read the comic number 5, but that is holy shit.
Yeah, no, I don't read the comics. I'll be honest.
So I just what you need to do? Go online after this and go read comic number 5, and you're like, oh, what the fuck just happened? Right. It takes. And I was talking to Jeremy about this. He was like, "Oh, I never really thought about that." I was like, "Because you don't have kids. I have 3 kids, and I read this stuff with my kids. My kids are like VeeFriends, yay! Yeah. My daughter's like Humble Hedgehog. I love him. I love her. And my son's like Tolerant Tortoise and Adventure Astro. They love. And then I open up comic number 5. I was like, "What the fuck just happened?" It is grotesquely violent. I was like, "This is not a kids brand anymore." So will it become a kids brand? Maybe. But my view with how dramatically they've shifted the goalpost of what they want VeeFriends to be. I don't know what VeeFriends is. Nobody knows what VeeFriends is. So could it become Pokemon Sesame Street? I don't know. Maybe. But like the fact is, it's already shifted in terms of the direction it's going in so many times that I think that sort of potentially limits the amount of input of the fandom.
I heard someone was talking about this. Someone that was kind of on the outskirts that I was bringing into the community to kind of look at it, and they made a good point. And I actually thought about this a lot. I think the one limitation I think the product could have is, and this is actually from a business standpoint, is keyman risk. So you think about a business, if you ever want to sell your business for enter X multiple number of dollars, if you're keyman risk, where like the business really runs with you at the helm, most private equity firms won't buy from you because that's just, they have to work for it. They want something that's a money machine, right? And with VeeFriends, I mean, in the name itself, it's very centered around Gary V. And I feel like for me, I think what the next evolution needs to be is almost a renaming of the product to be more mass market appeal, to where it is like just something that has its like a Cocomelon or a Lululemon or whatever what's that scary doll thing that got big? Labubu, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Labubu, like something like that, like some name that would almost disassociate it from Gary himself, that he would obviously still run, to where, like, if God forbid, because my fear is like, what if something happens to Gary? He's the key man on the brand. So if Gary goes, I mean,
yeah, I've said this so many times that the number one thing keeping VeeFriends afloat is Gary. The number one thing holding VeeFriends back is Gary. Right. So Gary is such a controversial, abrasive, unique personality that he's able to attract a very, very large amount of people,
right,
in a very specific way. He also repulses a ton of people given his persona and given his personality. So like there are people I know who, when I tell them about this, they're like, "Wait, Gary V, like Gary Vaynerchuk?" Is like, "Yeah." He's like, "I have no interest in that."
Oh,
like, we'll give it a chance. But they're like, no, like,
yeah,
dude is freaking crazy. And I was like, even if his right, some people are, even especially the worlds that I live in, right? Like, even if his message is great and positive, they just clash with him. Other people are like, "Oh shit, that's really, really cool. I really like it. Awesome." Like I like Gary. I mean, I know he can be abrasive, and I know he can be rough around the edges and all that kind of stuff. But I appreciate his message.
I like the abrasive stuff. That's kind of my vibe. So yeah, I'm all for it.
I mean, I have no issues with it. But again, it also depends on, and this is interesting that you bring this up, right? This could be why they shifted away from the kids thing. Like Gary, like I made this joke when they came out with the Meet Me in the Middle kids book. I literally said this to Gary. I was like, "Dude, are you going to go to like Barnes and Noble and do a reading and be like, 'Yo, fuck your grandparents, kids'?" And he was like, no. And I'm like the message was there of like, that's who Gary is. And he's trying to sell something to little kids. So my
Yeah.
curiosity is, did they sort of realize that and maybe shift away from that now and now move towards
Mm,
a product that can be marketed a
over.
little bit more tight? But they also remove the curse cards. Again,
Right.
there's a lot going on, and I think there's a lot of
I
like,
think
you know,
I think it could thrive. I honestly think a rebrand would help it thrive in a way because because you look at I mean a lot of this stuff. You look at any of these like anime shows or the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff like or the sports stuff. I mean, obviously the take the names out of it. It's just if it was more of a generalized name that didn't have Gary that tied to it,
yeah,
well then you could continue to expand it any way you want. Like it could even be like because it's very trait driven, right? I know that's Gary's big thing. It's these are trait. Every character is a trait. You can help teach it to your kids, things like that, or even for adults, right? You want to be this type of trait. Um, that could be something that it could lead into. And I think that would even attract more people because, especially with, the self improvement space in general, right? Coaching space is huge. People always want to get better. People always want a way to help educate their kids. And I think if that could potentially be a move they make, and it would remove key man risk from Gary. That's my biggest fear of it. Is his name is literally on it, to where like I feel like that part of it scares me as far as a growth side because God forbid, like again, anything happens to him or, any type of controversy comes to him, that could kill the entire product,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. I,
So
I,
that,
I
yeah,
wholeheartedly agree with you. I don't know. I have a lot of Justin. I always struggle immensely with like how much of my thought process I should share. A lot of the times, people in the VFriends community, just given my status there, sort of think I'm like super negative towards VFriends and all that kind of stuff because I say some things that are putting it down and everything like that. I've sort of I don't know. I always just I'm curious about how much I should share when it comes to this stuff. I personally think that maybe not necessarily a rebranding, although I kind of lean towards agreeing with you on that to a certain extent. I just think that VFriends needs to figure out what the hell they're trying to do and who the hell they're trying to be. Like right now, even the stories, as standalones, these
mm,
stories are kind of interesting. But you talk about their traits, like these aren't these. We're trying to develop these characters to portray bravery on Brave Bison, versatility on Versatile
sure,
Viking, patience with Patient Panda. Like we're trying to like some sort of level of skill with Skill Skeleton.
hmm,
The stories we're generating don't really represent that. They have like
interesting,
hints on that, and then they have these like haha Easter eggs about like the current community of VFriends.
mm,
We're not building depth to VFriends.
mm,
We're creating attention grabbing stories. And it's
yeah,
like, oh, cool. Like to me, when the reason I got into VFriends is because I saw an opportunity to help kids learn in a
hmm,
crazy, insane world filled with technology and AI and disconnection and lack of interaction with human beings, a way to teach these younger generations how to take these traits, kindness, patience, self-awareness, bravery, courageousness, adaptability, and utilize them by connecting to a character that's lovable
yeah,
and wonderful. I saw that and I was like, fuck yes. This
yeah,
this is better than Sesame Street. Sesame Street taught
yeah.
these things. Mr. Rogers taught these things, but they didn't teach them through characters. They just taught them through like fun little stories. There's an opportunity here that is greater than anything that has ever existed anymore. And to
Hmm.
date, they completely went in a different direction.
And but it could be part of a longer term strategy. And I mean, I think
Maybe, yeah.
and I think it could always come back in. I mean, you think about like the layers of attention, and it's like that pyramid and has unaware, problem aware, self aware, whatever. This could be part of number one, just get as much attention into the product as we can, fill up the funnel of attention, and then from there start stacking depth. Because before you get people to care about depth, you got to get people to know about it, and if you get more people to know about it, and that could be one thought process they're going through. Also, it could just be normal business trying to figure it the fuck outness. Like it's funny. So this is actually, I know a lot. Most people who buy VFriends products will not like this, but when those comics shipped, and then there was also some issues with like some of the cards that got shipped, like the back when we all ordered the manga series, and it got fucked, right?
Yep.
And obviously that was a VFriends, that was their thing, and they fucked it up.
Yep.
I actually liked it, and I liked it because it showed me that for as big as Gary is, for as big as that product is, they are still gonna succumb to business bullshit that we all deal with. And so I think, and because, I'm in a business and I'm running this thing, I see the humanity behind it of like, okay, so they're still just, I think, probably still trying to figure it out as well, and it is still, I think, such a new IP that I'm sure eventually, as it grows organically and they start to figure out what's working and what's really driving the culture and things like that, it'll come back to it. I do think what you said, Gary's so divisive. I think because of the way he comes off and the confidence he has and the way he speaks, I think people almost assume it should be 10 times more than it is, to where he is still running a business like a new IP. And he's still human, right? He's still just a guy trying to build this brand new IP. And I think there's a lot of human error that goes along with that I think he probably doesn't get enough leniency on because of the way he comes across. So we just expect
maybe
more, I guess.
I'll like express my frustration in those situations, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't really care either. Like, shit happens and mistakes happen.
Yeah.
That to me, that's not really a big deal within the development of the brand. I just, again, this is my complete and total personal opinion, just because of the way I think and the way and who I am, and as a parent and
Sure.
watching kids grow and someone who trains younger people and everything like that. Like I get sad sometimes, and I feel like again, to your point, it could come back to it, but I just feel like there's a massive missed opportunity to make this something that really, truly could change people, rather than just be another brand that sells some shit and has some stuff and build, like, to me, I genuinely think that over the next 10, 15, 20 years, VeeFriends is just gonna be another company you see in Walmart and Target, and there's there's a YouTube thing, or maybe there's a booth at Comic-Con and stuff like that. I think that's what it's gonna be, which is fine. That's not bad. They will be successful. Their cards will still be worth something, right? Like, their comics will be fun to read. Like, people will connect to it and love it and all that other stuff, just like all of these other brands.
Yeah.
Will it be something that really truly changes, like a Pokemon and Sesame Street? I don't think so. And at this point, I like saying this out loud because I think it's a little bit of a challenge to Gary, being like, you know what? There's a big demographic out there who really believed in the ability to use your product with their kids, and like, oh, here's the voice of Brave Bison and the voice of, Passionate Parrot, and how they're teaching, and how Passionate Parrot is teaching kids to find their passion. You asked me, Josh, how would you help this person find their passion? Well, Passionate Parrot has the ability through storytelling and through his or her voice to help inspire that kid to go out there and find that passion. And I just don't see it doing that. Will their cards still be expensive and great, and can people still make money off it? Fuck yes, they can. In fact, I think probably more so than if it turned into what I want it to be, because it's designed around it. It's built around that concept. These drops are coming out every 3 months with built-in massive rarity and huge chases. And Gary hypes it up like crazy. Another big point about like what's going to go up and what's going to go down at this point, talking about their Keyman thing, it all depends on what Gary's focusing on. The second Gary goes on and does 2 or 3 shows talking about Series 2 cards, people are going to try to buy Series 2 cards. But then if he doesn't talk about them for 6 months, nobody wants Series 2 cards. Right? So the second, February or March comes out and the Specs series comes out, everyone's going to want that. Nobody's going to even think about Series 2. That the joke of them becoming vintage happened on my show because nobody was talking about it. I was like, dude, do we want to do some of these Series 2 cards? They're like, oh, vintage. Nobody wants shit. And that joke became a reality. And now VeeFriends calls it vintage.
I feel so bad. I'll be honest. I feel bad for a lot of you. I think it's Whiskey Jack has like this insane TCG collection. And I'll be honest, when I saw the TCG come out, I bought a couple boxes. I was not really impressed with TCG, maybe because I'm not really into the TCG types of games. I grew up with like Magic the Gathering, and that's like what I think of TCG. And when I saw this, I was like, the cards to me just didn't look that great. And so, and as a collector, like I didn't like TCG. I saw Series 1, got one of those cards, and I was like, oh, these are sick.
Yeah. Great collectible.
And I think TCG missed it a bit on that. But I feel bad because like talking to you and some of the OGs, it did seem like TCG at the time when TCG was out, like that was meant to be this big focus.
It was the big focus. It was like that was the thing. Even with new products coming out, even with pins and stickers and stuff like that coming out, That's what I'm telling you. The
Yeah.
direction of VFriends was build the trading card game. We were
Mm,
talking about Series 3. The amount of times that VFriends talked about the evolution of the game,
gotcha.
the amount of times they talked about, like, openly, just blip, the amount of times they talked about Series 3, people were like, is Series 3 happening? I was like, yeah, Gary literally said, the next couple of years, we're going to have Series 3 and the evolution of the game. And
So that's okay. That makes so there was a huge Twitter that one kid that I love watching your guys' talks on Twitter. You and him go at it all the time. But he's always bashing V
yeah,
Friends.
fuck that guy. You're
Uh,
Polish.
yeah,
I
yeah,
love the kid, but my God, he's gone crazy.
yeah. But that was I saw him posting a clip on Series 3, and on my head I didn't know what they were talking about. Like, oh, a new Chrome, like, so that makes more sense now with what you're saying of like, oh, there was meant to be this Series 3 TCG coming out.
So I hosted at Comic Con 3 years ago, Comic Con. So yeah, 3 Octobers ago. I hosted a tournament, an unsanctioned tournament, and
Mhm.
I talked to Andy, I talked to Jeremy, I talked to Rips. I talked to them about the evolution of the game, and all of them were like, "Yep, the evolution." We're like, "Oh, I can't wait for people to see it." Like, I think you'll be really like some people have kind of guessed some ideas on it, but not
Mm.
really. Like, it was in the works, and this wasn't like some sort of secret. Like, don't tell anybody, Josh. This was
Yeah.
talked about openly, dude. The freaking Rainbow
Mm.
Planet card. This at the very first TCG tournament, like official one, everybody got this card.
Yeah.
Rip stood up on a chair and was like, "Here is the new evolution of the game. Is this? This is a boost card. When casted, the winner receives a boost of 1 aura, 1 skill, 1 stamina instead of your normal poop points.
Hmm.
This is the evolution of the game.
So
Me and
that
my
was meant to be like Series 3 or whatever. That
Yes.
one.
Me and my show partner Dale came up with a whole line of boost cards. I remember having Rips on my show talking about the boost cards and hey, we should
Mm.
work with Dale and blah blah blah. This was the future. This was the direction of VFriends. And then
Gotcha.
a year later in October, Gary just started shifting his talking to, oh, social shopping is going to be the future. Social shopping. And they did their massive huge like first ever big sale where they were like Gary was walking around the room and selling stuff and like he wanted to represent that thing and immediately, boom,
Mm.
shifted direction. They just that was it. They started moving in that direction.
Interesting.
So yeah, I mean that's what I talk about of like we had these
Yeah.
very distinct directions of VFriends and it has just
And it's
shifted
swapped.
dramatically.
Interesting.
And we had this big kick. We had this kids book with the TV show and kids and
Right.
kids and kids. And
Yeah.
it's like, no more.
Oh, that's not happening. I thought that was still playing out in like Disneyland or whatever, or Disney
No
World.
way. Dude, hold
No,
on. You haven't
it's
read
not.
this, but I
It's not.
just
It's not on the buses anymore. I thought
just to
that thing
show
was still
you,
rolling.
just to show you, right? We've seen the cool image of Motivated Monster, right? That's the cool image of Motivated Monster getting born. I just want
Yep.
to show you this image for the brand that was marketed towards kids. I
Hmm.
love this guy. This is my favorite of the comics. I just want
Sure.
to get that across. I'm not like
Yeah.
mad at the comic, but it's very clear shift in direction of VFriends. That's Motivated Monster ripping the heart out of his brother.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Motivate, eat some hearts right there. Hell yeah.
Just standing over him after he ripped his heart out.
Jesus.
So like this,
Jesus.
we have a pretty dramatic shift in the direction of what VFriends is.
Well,
Again,
I almost feel like he just did that because I mean, all the books were for kids. I think he just probably did that as like a test. Like, ooh, I wonder if some adults would want to start reading these as well, like a Dark Knight series, you know?
sure. And
You know?
I talked about it on the show. Like there in DC Comics, there's also like Black Label, which is like the
Right.
dark, gritty, psycho version of it. Like, okay,
Hmm.
great, but like this came out of left field.
Yeah.
Like we don't have it's. I think right. You follow Gary. Gary's like, and I think we always talk about that. Like, hey Josh, what's your gym going to be like? It's going to be who your gym is going to feel like you,
Right. Sure.
right? It's always from the top down. So VFriends
Hmm.
feels like Gary, and maybe
Yeah.
this ties back into what you were talking about, the Key Man thing, everything like that. Is that like at some point, if we really want this to be even a holistic brand that appeals to teenagers, that appeals to adults, that appeals to kids,
Hmm.
you know, Gary doesn't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. I mean, the one thing that seems consistent out of all of it is the NFTs.
Yeah,
That's the only thing that seems consistent. And now I actually wonder, this is a talking point. I'm glad we brought this up, and then probably end on this. But
I gotta go pick up my kids soon.
yeah, no, they can stay. um, you know, this last drop, I mean, it was great for me because it was per account, not per NFT.
Right.
How do you feel about that? Because I personally, like selfishly, like I was like, okay, yes, this is awesome. I could buy one Series 1 and then the IP could be good,
Yeah.
right? Because again, they're not cheap. But like for the people like Mike JY, for example, who I know has, and I think you too, have bajillions of these things.
I have three.
Okay. So it's like in that instance, it's like, well, I personally think you should probably get per token. Um, that's kind of where I land on it. Just because again, it's like, well, you invested all that money in those tokens. I think you should absolutely take care of the Series 1 holders first.
Yeah.
And for the ones that have more of them, take care of those.
Yeah. I agree.
But
I mean,
yeah.
there's a lot to it. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, there's a huge by the way, there's probably for the community that's into the collectibles and the cards and the buying and the flipping and all that other stuff, I would say probably 50% of that of the size of that community exists in the NFT world too. So
Gotcha.
most people who are really, really into the cards and all that kind of stuff don't even know that there's an entire other side of the VeeFriends community that's super, super active. And it's
Oh,
the
wow.
people who bought into the NFTs and have been around since literally day one and could care
Yeah.
less about all this other physical stuff. They were really
Right.
they're Web3. That's what VeeFriends was, a Web3 business. So
Yeah.
there's a huge amount of those people, and people there are very passionate, just like the card people are very passionate about how things work, how how the drops went, everything like that.
Right.
The going articulated mindset is agreeing with you, and I would agree with you too. Like I don't really care all that much, but yeah, in the grand scheme of things, if people are investing and buying in product that has utility, this last drop or this drop that's coming up or whatever, I guess the last drop because it just happened, is it doesn't reward the people who are even more invested.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
Yeah,
which is kind of weird, you know.
Yeah, and I also am at the stage now where I would like to see. I don't know if this will happen, but especially on like VeeFriends only drops, like I could see this argument for like Topps drops, but like for VeeFriends only drops, I would like to see more allocations or opportunities given to streamers who stream VeeFriends a lot, to get product as if they were a card shop.
Hey, you
Now,
know, that's what happened with manga, but they didn't give it to community streamers. They only gave it to big time streamers.
right, exactly, and that's where I say, I get from a business standpoint, I get it. However, my question, I would then want to look at the ROI on that of like, okay, especially for like Chrome, I know that happened too, I think, where you do allocations for, or even for manga, you give these big allocations to these big streamers, but are they still streaming the product? I don't see any of them doing it. I see those big streamers they'll rip the product they got and they're done. They're not buying anymore.
Here's my 2 cents on that is that I don't think Gary is a very, very smart guy. And I articulated this to Gary. I don't know if I sent him an email or whatever it was. I forget when it came to the manga thing, which is I believe you would do better by sending product to me, to the Moon, to Curry, to Ron, to people who know VeeFriends.
Right.
Because even if you're sending it to a show that has, you know, I don't know, 10,000, 15,000, 50,000, 100,000 followers, they don't know VeeFriends. The amount of times I was on a show and they were like, "Oh, skill, that guy looks."
Oh, dude.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
dude, I saw that too. Like I saw the same thing. They're like, "Oh, these are kind of weird cards."
You're not attracting people to be part of VeeFriends.
Right.
I don't think Gary actually truly understands how to develop that type of community. He knows how to develop followers. Right. And I don't want this to come across as an insult to Gary. I don't think Gary. I think what's happening within this VeeFriends community was never planned, and they're
Sure.
like, we don't know what they're using it as marketing. You know, acquaintances become friends become family, families VeeFriends. Like I
Which
think
it did happen that way.
right. Yes, but I think that was just Gary's a very smart person. Be like, oh shit, we're building like a super tight knit community. Okay, let's capitalize on that. But doesn't really know how to like. From a business standpoint, capitalize on it. Like grassroots style, if the best business model right now would be to send product to the community shows and then send his millions of followers to those shows. Because I am going to you. I'm going to bring people into the community way better than some random person who doesn't know anything about VeeFriends.
Right.
They're just going to sell product.
Yeah.
So to me, that comes across as we're not focused on developing our community. We're focused on selling product.
That's a good point, actually. That's a really good point, because without your show, I wouldn't even be selling and going as hard as I did on VeeFriends. So that created like a whole new show that is now super interesting.
And Justin, that's happened
10x over.
That's happened 10, 15 times just through me. Now, now who came in through To the Moon, and who came in through Ron, and who came in through Ann, and who came in through these people, right? Like, how many people became a part of this community through, some random hobby house thing with 400,000 followers?
Yeah. Interesting.
Now, did they sell more product? Did they generate more revenue?
Probably.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, big picture. Are we focused on generating revenue now? Are we focused on building this beautiful, loving, awesome, supportive, passionate base that can ultimately sustain a business 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years in the future?
Well, that's the question. It'll be interesting to see. This will be a podcast to save, and we'll probably come back to it in the next 5 years and see how we landed on it, and see if it came back, or see if it still falls apart, or if it continues to go. But I think
I'm here for the ride, man. I'm having fun.
Exactly.
That's what it's all about, man.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, man. And at the end of the day, you get to meet a bunch of cool people, and I think it'll be fun to see, and I'm excited for the next drop. But I do think you bring up some really good points, and I would like to see, especially as I've gotten more into the community, I think I personally would like to see more intent to the community streamers, because as you see now, without that, without that product helping the small community streamers out, there are no big streamers fueling the community. It is the me, the Rons, Saucy, these guys who are consistent in there, but like the view counts are nowhere.
Yeah.
And because these, to be honest, these big streamers don't care yet enough about it. It's just they're going to sell.
The big streamers is about bottom line. It's not about community. Like
exactly. So we'll see where it ends. But Josh, dude, thank you so much for coming on, man. This has been a pleasure. And if you guys are watching, please follow Josh Courage on Whatnot. His shows are fabulous. They are a ton of fun. He's got a ton of product. There we go. I can't read that. Jay Courage. If you guys can read that, the
Twitter is Jay Courage FIT. Instagram is Jay Courage. TikTok is Jay Courage 16, and Whatnot is The Courage Show.
Yep, beautiful. Follow him, guys, and also come to The Courage Show. It's a ton of fun. He's one of the best ones to do it on there. He has a ton of awesome product, but also if you guys just want to chill and hang out and talk business and talk VeeFriends, it's kind of just like this. You just hang out.
Super Bowl. My last show was a Super Bowl. My last show was a World Series watch party. We literally just 15 of us just watching the World Series, having a blast, talking baseball. That's what it was.
That's it, baby. Awesome, bro. Well, thank you so much, man.
Appreciate you, Justin.